Hey, Tripp Kramer here from trippadvice.com, and I get a lot of questions on sexting. People ask me questions in email, people ask me questions on the YouTube channel, and here's the deal. I don't really believe in sexting. I think that it is not the best way of basically building attraction, and it's not really a great use of your time. However, I do know that guys are doing it and they're looking for that information, and so they're gonna be doing it either way. So if you're gonna be doing it either way, I want you to be doing it right, and very, very important, I want you to be doing it in the most appropriate way, because there is an appropriate way to do it. So that's why I decided to take a little clip from my podcast called How to Talk to Girls, and you're going to hear a little snippet of it. If you want the full episode, you can check in the description below. But here is the best information I have in terms of sexting girls and how it works and how to do it the right way. Here you go. Let's go back a little bit. You said something interesting before about the fact that you might have a girl who's a little bit more interested in it before you guys end up fooling around, and other girls who might not. So do you have any ideas or tips on how you can recognize a girl who might be interested beforehand?
Definitely. I mean, that's one of the parts in my book is it's gauging a girl's sexual radar. There's like certain ways you can send text that can be misinterpreted either sexually or just normally. So it's like you're not putting yourself on the hook, like explicitly saying, I want to take your panties off or something. Instead, you say something that can be interpreted, in a like where she'll play back sexually. And that's how you just you can gauge the radar of where she's at and know if you should push forward with it or wait until you guys have hooked up, and then you can just be, because not all girls are explicitly sexual. So like just basic stuff. Like I say stuff like, I saw the cutest, what are some of the ones I've used? I have so many. Like, one of the cutest, I saw the cutest squirrel in the park today, made me think of you. And some will say something like, why? Because it had nuts in its mouth. And like, you could tell like, okay, game on. She wants to talk about stuff like that. Or, a lot of sexual innuendos, so that she'll either go ha ha or she'll like push further on it. But yeah, you send out just like little innocuous things that could be misinterpreted as sexually oriented. And then you see if she grabs onto it or bypasses it.
Right. Like a girl who's more interested in it might respond to it and say something back to it, like you just said, like, oh, nuts in the mouth. Like she'll catch on to the sexual innuendo and add to it, or you'll get a girl that will just be like, very funny.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so sweet. Take it literally.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, okay, not going that route.
So let's go into how to utilize it. What are some of your best techniques or mindsets in terms of sexting with a girl who is down. You're at the point where you're like, okay, like you could do it and it would be fine because you guys have already hooked up or you've already had sex or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, some of the fun ones are like, hey, let's play a game, and then they're like, okay, because a lot of them are like, I'm bored at school, I'm bored at work, keep me whatever. And so you say, I mean, you don't have to. This is what you can do when they say that, or you can just start it by saying, let's play a game. And you can do word association, and you do some words that you obviously are associated with naughties, like having sex and stuff. That's always fun, because then you start seeing what they come back with, and you play that. Or you can build a story together. Like, I like playing games where it gets them involved and start thinking about it. Or giving them bits and pieces as you go, like talking about if we're like planning a trip together, and then we do this, and then I do this, and you add a lot of rich detail. So one of the things I go over I feel like not a lot of guys seem to get is words. Like, women love words. The more attention you can give to detail helps her imagine. She wants to imagine it. Thus, even though we were joking, 50 Shades of Grey, like, why do you think that was number one selling? Literotica, like, romance novels outsell like any other genre, is the words, the language. So building like, so for example, talk about how to start using descriptive language. So, for example, saying something like, "This Coke was good," versus, "Oh, this Coke is delicious. It's like little baby angels dancing on my tongue." One paints a much more vivid picture that you can imagine that evokes stronger emotions. Like, one for that is like funny because it's a funny image, but you can imagine it. But it also is saying that you like the Coke or you're enjoying it. So when talking about experiences, it's like build a story together and then be descriptive. Like, hey, so tonight, let's talk about what we're going to do tonight. Or a trip, like, all right, so we're going to Greece. All right, we get to our hotel room. It's overlooking the ocean. Your turn. What do we do next?
Oh, I
And
like that.
let her start going, and then you can like push it towards, and then don't feel shy about pulling back away. So like moving it sexual, then move away, and then move into more sexual, and play back and forth. And it's so fun seeing the responses. Like sometimes I'll get, "Oh my God, Race, don't stop yet. Keep telling me more. I'm getting so turned on in the middle of class." And that's kind of what you're going for. So those are some really fun ways that I've found to do it.
The details are so important, so you who's listening right now really understand that the reason why literotica works so well is because it is descriptive detail of sex between a guy and a girl. It's not just like they saw each other, they started kissing, he took down his
Did
pants,
they
and
both?
they had sex, and then they both had orgasms. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like a science
Yeah.
book. It's like written in all this detail of everything, the way you're feeling, the way that she's feeling, where you're touching her, so you can really get pretty descriptive in saying things like what you would want to do to her. And I think one of my tips would be not only are you descriptive, but you go very micro. Like you could do a whole paragraph if you wanted to. If you really wanted to get intense with your sexting, you could do like a whole paragraph just focused on the way that you would kiss her.
Yeah, like I would even say one, you could read some of these books. You can look up free stuff online to just get an idea. Another one is watch, like, say, for example, what do girls seem to really go gaga over? Look at a scene in The Notebook. What's Ryan Gosling doing? I'd stare you intently in the eyes, put my hand on your back and slowly move it up. Like, just describe what's happening in detail, and you'll start getting a lot better at this. So yeah, it's all about painting the picture of what's going on. And like you said, it could even be, how are you kissing her? What do you do right before? Do you lean in and just like you're about to kiss her, and then you lean over and whisper something in her ear instead? And now she's wondering, did you whisper in her ear? Then I pull back. And you know what I mean? Now it's like just all this crazy stuff. It's like going on in her head. Like, holy cow, this is intense. What's going on? I'm feeling all these feelings. What did you whisper in my ear? What are you going to do next? This is so hot.
Right, right.
And this is something you could do literally with the object that's every day in your pocket to turn a girl on that much wherever she's at. It's amazing that we have this tool and this ability to do that. And so definitely, if you're not doing this, start doing this immediately with girls you're seeing and dating. And you know what? Don't, even if it's a girl that you haven't slept with yet, but you're into each other at least enough, like you've made out or you showed interest. You can start. Maybe you go lighter on it. Like, about, maybe it's a girl that you haven't kissed yet, but you definitely know you're attracted to each other and you're going on a date or a second date or something. You can start talking about, like, you say the dream, because that's always a fun one because it takes responsibility off you, and talk about how we had the most passionate kiss I've ever had. It was incredible. And then she'll start asking, most likely, once again, that's how you can gauge it and be like, yeah, I don't know, it was a dream and whatever. But she'll still be thinking about it when you go on that date. Or she'll be like, wow, no, tell me about it. And then you can get into descriptive detail of how you were, talk about a date that you're going to go on. Like, we're here, and then, we're laughing, having a good time. Then all of a sudden we look at each other deep in the eye, each other's eyes. And I noticed, like, wow, this girl is actually different and amazing. And we both just felt this like spark, and started leaning in towards each other. Like you can just go like that. I'm just making this up off the top of my head, obviously, but that I know that'll work and it'll be very intense. And guess what she'll be thinking about the whole time? You won't have to be waiting till the end of the date. When you walk up to the door, she'll be thinking about it the whole time.
Yeah.
And you could do it within the first 5 minutes because she's like so intensely waiting and has that sexual buildup.
Right, exactly. I made me think of something else too. You don't even have to go sexting. I think what guys have to understand is sexting doesn't have to be so overtly sexual. Like it doesn't have to be all about, genitals and getting naked. You know what I mean? Like sexting even to a girl, even something that is completely PG can turn her on. The whole idea here, what I'm trying to say is it's a mindset. And the mindset is it doesn't always have to be right to sex or sexual. A lot of the teasing and build-up, even if it's PG, even if it's about the way you look at her, the way you explain the way she smells or any of that stuff, or just seeing her in a movie theater and touching her thigh, that is enough to really turn a girl on, like you were saying, Race.
Oh, agreed completely, yes. In fact, many times skirting around it is far hotter than talking about it explicitly. And so, once again, where the descriptive language comes in, because you're talking about, like you were just saying, the way you smell her. She smells the way you like slide your hand like to the back of her neck and grab it and stare her in the eyes, and what you're feeling at that moment. Like, and I just felt like I had to have you, and like stuff like that. Like, it's incredible. It's such a huge turn on that will attack you when she comes over. Don't have to talk about then we bone.
Yeah.
That kind of like releases the tension because you want it to build up to the point where it's passionate, but you don't give her to the point where that passion is the buildup is released. You want to just keep it building. Some of the best ways are to work towards where you both know where it's going to end, but you don't get there.
Right.
That's what in person's for.
Right, exactly. That's a really good point. And I would also say too, just adding on to something you said a little bit earlier, just a bit of advice I would say to guys is that, I believe when guys ask me about texting and how to text and all that stuff, I believe texting really is, beyond sexting. The text messages are a way of getting her to meet up. It's like that should be the whole goal of texting a girl. So you use it to get her to meet up. If you're just texting her all day and there's no plans and you're not meeting up with her, well, then you just have a texting buddy.
You're just a text buddy.
Right, and who wants that, right? So I would say to guys, when it comes to sexting, it's fine to do it if you want to, but I would make sure that before you start going into sexting and turning around, make sure you have a date lined up. Even if you guys,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like if you guys already had sex and I don't know, a couple of days later you want to throw in some sexting and turn her on, like don't do that if you don't have plans to meet up again. And I say that for two reasons. One, it's like, again, you don't want to be a sexting buddy. You want to be a sex buddy, actually having sex. So you want to be getting her to meet up with you. And also, two, sexting can be a cool way to build up what you guys might do together on that date that you've already made with her. Like you were saying earlier, Race, like you can kind of allude to some of your sexual desires in the text messages, so she knows for the next time when you guys get together that you guys can actually do those things. So I would say as a tip, almost as a rule, like make sure you have plans set in stone before you just go off and sext for no reason.
Right. Very, very good point.
Cool, man.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Any other tips or anything else that come to mind in terms of...
Nothing, that's it. That's the extent of all things I know.
That's everything right there.
I guess maybe one of the other things is but if you are in a situation where this is a girl you like, you guys have had some attraction, maybe you've made out, maybe you've slept together and you feel that passion there, don't be afraid to do this. I know at the starting, like some of the things I sent, I would be so terrified that like, oh man, did I just run this and like put my phone under a pillow and sit on it? and then I'll get the text back, and she's like into it, and I'm like, of course, I knew this was going to work. Um, it can be scary at first, so start off light, but do start off and try it, because it's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing you both can share. It's a great tool, so don't be afraid to give it a try.
Awesome.
That would be a big thing, because anything new, especially with girls where you like, maybe it's just working out, you just like hooked up, and I don't want to lose her, so I'm not going to say anything like that. I'll tell you right now, and I'm guessing you'll say something similar. Not using this, one, is you're missing out on a big cool thing, and two, that fear of not doing that, of afraid of losing her, if you get too sexual, is probably going to lose her in the end, because she's probably wants to be way more sexual than you even realize.
Right. Exactly. I like that, man. That's great advice.